It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Neo.
All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We are now at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. It is 9:20 a.m. I'd like to ask the officer, please introduce yourself for the record at East Baton Rouge. Can y'all hear us? Make it so obvious. Can you hear us, officer?
Yes, we can hear you.
Introduce yourself for the record, sir.
Okay, I'm Captain Barry Miles, Chief of Intake and Release.
All right, thanks, Captain Miles, for accommodating us this morning. And Mr. Rizzo,
Yes, ma'am.
you introduce yourself, tell us your name and your DOC number.
Daniel Rizzo, 755-792, ma'am.
All right, and let me acknowledge that some folks we have here that have joined us. I think you can see on the screen your father, Mr. Camilo Rizzo, who'll be speaking on your behalf. Also joining by Zoom is Carrie Rizzo, your sister-in-law, and your Aunt Maria Skiles. My name is Cheryl Renatza, Mr. Rizzo, and seated to my left is Mrs. Stapleton, and to my right is Mr. Freeman. We're here for a revocation decision this morning. We're gonna put up a form on the screen, and I want you to tell me if that's your signature at the bottom of that page.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that January 10th of this year, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on the information in that form, your answers to those questions, it has been determined you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then we'll have a conversation. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on the interview questions. Once we're done with our questions, we'll hear from your dad, and before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you want to. Okay? All right, so you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 3, which states you are accused of supervision and leaving the state of Louisiana without the permission of the supervising parole agent. This accusation is evidenced by your subsequent arrest in the state of Florida by the Florida Highway Patrol on our warrant. The last seen in person by probation and parole on November 12th, 2021. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
Unknowingly guilty.
Guilty with a state?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll get your statement in just a second. Okay, and then condition number 10, you have failed to pay your supervision fees as evidenced by an arrearage, $1,764. How do you plead to that violation?
Also guilty with a statement, y'all.
Okay, and Mr. You wrote us a letter in March where you said you didn't have any bill of particulars or the summary of your preliminary hearing, and you have since been provided that document?
Yes, ma'am, just the other day.
Last week, okay, good. So tell us about, I know in that letter you say you thought you were off parole, but in our record, and you signed your parole certificate, which was dated, or you signed it rather, July 20th, 2021, where it clearly states you are on parole till April 7th, 2025. So
Yes,
tell us why you said unknowingly abscond.
Yes, ma'am, because my parole officer, like I called him and he finally told me, he said, stop calling me. You don't need to call me anymore. If I need you, I'll call you. So I stopped calling him, and because he got really angry. So I went to Miss Moffitt and asked her, I said, could you please be my parole officer? This man doesn't want to deal with me. I'm trying to do the right thing. I don't want to get in any trouble. And she said, I can't, that I'm over violent offenders and you're not a violent offender. So I can't remember the name of the other person I asked to please, switch the parole officer. And so I called him again because I was moving, and he didn't answer the phone, Finally answers the phone and tells me, he's like, look, stop calling me. I told you that. I said, look, I'm calling you because I'm moving. And he said that he never got contact of that. But he told me, look, stop calling me at the end of parole or at the halftime of parole. If you have not gotten any trouble, I'm going to write you off parole. And that's it. You don't got to worry about this no more. And I don't got to worry about you. I said, sir, look, I'm not from here. I'm just trying to do the right thing, and I think this, evident. I haven't gotten any trouble. I tried to do everything that I was supposed to do. See, somebody used my ID in Florida, and it was all messed up while I was in prison. So I had to clear that up, and they wouldn't print me ID here. So I put in 207 applications here, somewhere close to 200 some applications without getting a job, because every time I went, they wanted to copy my ID, and I couldn't, do anything. So I went down to take care of these problems. My brother, he's sick. He's about, I'm sure that they're going to tell you the same thing. I need a surgery right now, and to go to the gastro doctor. You guys are taking me to all these doctors here because I have a lot of health
problems. Okay, in your letter you explained a lot of your medical issues. So you say you called your officer and said you were moving. Where were you moving to?
The place that I lived for, almost 2 years while I was here, Hammond Manor Drive. I even got in my car, it happens to be down there, of course. I've got where I recorded on another phone me leaving a message to him saying this because he just would not get back to me.
When did you move?
Well, that was, I can't remember exactly when. I'm talking about when I first got on parole.
Yeah, didn't you go to Joseph Homes first?
I tried to go there, but I got a car accident on the way there. I went the day later, and they wouldn't let me in, so I had to find a place to live. And then I was staying in a hotel because I couldn't get a hold of my family when I first got out.
Yeah, and you were not very cooperative with the folks at Joseph's Home. So you went from there you moved around a few times, didn't you?
I never spoke to them except for one time. I brought them the paperwork from the hospital the next day, and she said because you weren't here that day, it was no argument or anything. It was just
right. Yeah. Well, the information we had from them says you had an attitude. You kept changing your story, and there were other issues. So then you moved to Convention Street in Baton Rouge.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's that?
That was just a rental.
Okay, and then from where did you go?
To a hotel. I can't remember the name of it.
Then you went to Myrtle Avenue.
Ma'am, it cut out. I didn't hear you.
Then you went to Myrtle Avenue. Right?
Yes.
And then you ended up being on Sherwood somewhere.
Yeah, that was the hotel. I can't remember the name of it.
I saw that. And did you get a permit to go to Florida?
No, ma'am. Like I said, I thought the halftime was well over with. I thought I know it sounds stupid, and I apologize for it, but I really wasn't trying to do anything wrong. I was trying to help my father and my family and get my license, straightened out so I could be, doing odd jobs to try to make it here.
When did you first go to?
It cut out again. I'm sorry, ma'am.
When did you first go to Florida?
I was there 1 week, from Monday to Monday.
So we have a note in the record. So when was that? December?
Yes, December. I think it's the 4th through the 11th.
Yeah, you say you left in December and was arrested. Right, the 4th, you were arrested on December 11th on our warrant. Why were you stopped?
My next door neighbor down there to my father, parks his truck. It was a code enforcement truck, right in the driveways, and I just barely touched it. First accident I ever had in my life. It was my fault, and they ran my name and told me I had a fugitive. I waited 4 hours for the cops to show up. I thought there was no problem. I mean, if I really thought that there was a problem, I wouldn't have sat there and waited, Your Honor. I mean, nobody would.
What's your level of education?
I have a GED, ma'am.
All right, and what about, oh, so the fees are, you said you submitted over 200 applications and you didn't have proper identification.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you when you were placed on discharge from?
River Bend.
So you didn't have an ID from them? They didn't?
No. I mean, I had a plastic ID, but not a state ID, and they wouldn't print me one because of what happened in Florida. Like I said, somebody got pulled over and used my ID twice, saying that they were me somehow. They didn't even have the ID on them. They just used my information.
That was probably somebody. No. Okay. Let me ask my colleagues if they have any other questions. No? All right. Well, let's hear from your father. Oh, wait.
Quick, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you have a place to stay now? If
Yes, sir.
not to revoke, where would you be staying?
Well, I'm trying to see if they give me. I talked to my parole officer. He said he'd give me a work pass because like I said, my brother is in really bad health, and my father we have a restaurant. He needs to go stay with his son so that they can go to a different state because he needs surgery. And so he told me if I get paroled, that he'd give me a work pass until they could transfer me. Then I
told you that.
Mr. New, my parole officer.
Mr. Who?
Mr. New.
Okay. Thank you.
And the work pass you're saying is to Florida?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. But if I need a place here for a while, I have a friend that I could stay with.
Where's that at?
I don't have the address with me. It's over by the mall, Louisiana.
Who's the friend?
Jarvis Watson.
Yeah, you know, to go to Florida, you'll have to have an interstate compact approved. You are on supervision until that date in 2025 that I mentioned. Where is it? 7th. Regardless of what anybody else tells you, you've been on for that long.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Hear from your father. Mr. Rizzo, what would you like us to know, sir? You don't have, is your audio on?
Jasmine, it asked to unmute.
I think you're trying to find it.
Do you see a little microphone icon on your screen? Press that. He's pushing it. Is he connected to audio?
But went off for a second.
We're going to call you on the phone. We're going to call you. Just bring the phone over here. We'll talk to you.
And he's gonna have to turn the volume down, whatever device.
We're going to try to talk to you on the phone, sir. Okay, can you hear us, Mr. Reason? Okay, go ahead. We're going to do it on the phone. We couldn't get your audio to work, so tell us what you'd like us to know.
I'd like to know if Virginia said it's a good thing. Not just because it's my son. I really need a bit, that I took the best one, and I can use his help. I got my son in bad an operation in his spine. He's got an infection in his spine, so we're going to take him both over here. And I'll try to be supportive of him and take care of his kid. And if I don't get Jenny over here to watch the restaurant, I end up closing the restaurant. And that's our means of living.
Right.
So if you know, help us out, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. We're gonna, I'm gonna go ahead and hang up the phone. Can you hear us on your screen, on your computer?
I can hear you guys now.
Okay.
I won't be able to see you. I don't know why. It's one of them.
Well, we're gonna, go ahead and ask him for his statement, then we'll be voting. Thanks for, your comments this morning. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, Gino, what would you like us, is there a statement you'd like to tell us?
Yes, I really would. Like, I haven't gotten any other trouble. I'm not a person that's in this system all the time. This is the second time I've ever been in trouble in my life. You know, I will not cause any trouble. I'll do what I'm supposed to do. You know, and I really was trying to. I know it looks maybe different from the outside, but I don't need 2 chances or 3 chances. I need 1. That's all. Please let me help my family. And like I said, I need a surgery too after he gets a surgery, and they won't do it in here. They're bringing me 2 times a week to New Orleans from here to do physical therapy and stuff like that. And it's just miserable. I promise you, give me a chance, and that's all I need. You'll never hear from me again.
And you, the record indicated, Mr. Rizzo, that, or you did on your questionnaire, that you have a mental health diagnosis
Yes, ma'am.
and that you've not had your medication since March of last year.
Yes, ma'am. That's the other thing. I had Medicaid here, and I was trying to see the doctor. Ma'am,
So how are you without the medication?
I seem to be a lot better with your diet and stuff. I've been trying to handle it that way, and I've gotten a lot. I was married and this and that, and it was, you know, a chaotic situation there. Since I've not had that issue anymore, it seems to be a lot better. You know, like I said, I talk to my father every day, and we're best friends, you know, so that's the only person I hang out with.
All right. So I think we're prepared to vote, and I'll be voting first. Mr. Rizzo, my vote's going to be do not revoke. But you can't get the work permit. You got to have the interstate.
Right, they're not gonna be able to give you a travel permit because if they find you down there while they're trying to transfer the case, they will not accept the case.
So there's you got, so depending on how it goes today,
Yeah, we'll tell you.
we'll tell you what you got to do. I will add, if you are not revoked, I want to add special conditions, no matter whether you're here or if you end up over there by your dad, that you do obtain mental health evaluation, and you got to comply with any treatment medications that they may prescribe for you. And then I'll defer to my colleagues for any other special conditions. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, my vote is the same. I think you've been in jail around 4 months. You know, I don't think you're trying to lose all. You got in a rut, and you can't do that. You got to have the permission of the probation office before you go out of state. But my vote should be to do not revoke, for you to apply interstate compact through your office. And if he approves of that resident that you have here in Baton Rouge with your friend, you can go home and stay with him until the interstate compact is, and he can give you a travel permit to go visit your father. That's my vote today with the same condition as Mr. Knott.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I agree with my colleagues completely.
All right. Do you understand?
Yes, and I appreciate the chance, and I won't let you down.
I hope not. So got to work with your parole officer, get in touch with him right away to work on that interstate compact. And you won't be released until he approved, parole officer approves that residence in Baton Rouge with your friend.
How do I get a?
We're gonna get a hold. They'll get a hold to him and tell him he needs to go check out their residence, and we'll let you out if it's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Back to you.
Thank you much.
That concludes our business at East Baton Rouge. Thank you, Captain Niles, for accommodating us. We're going to sign off at 9:39.